Many moons ago, back in the days when IE used to run an interactive interview each and every episode, we had a chance to speak with Sid Meier.
I forgot you were a charter member of the Cult of Sid.
Bite your tongue, infidel. Anyway, the reason we spoke with Sid was because he had written some really cool games, titles such as Railroad Tycoon, Covert Action, and Pirates, just to name a few.
However, the reason that people like you kowtow whenever they hear Sid's name mentioned is a little strategy game he designed called Civilization.
I'll let the little strategy game reference slide this time, but keep in mind that I can get about 100 angry cult members here in a heartbeat. You started Civilization in the year 4000 BC with one group of settlers. You could win in one of two ways, wiping out everyone else or becoming the first civilization to land a spaceship on Alpha Centauri. To reach these goals, you had to manage your economy, your military, your citizens, and your technology, among many other things. The game remains a classic.
Unfortunately, many people felt there was, dare I say it, a flaw in Civilization.
Be very, very careful where you go with this.
Even true believers such as my friend and his band of zombie followers longed for the ability to humiliate other humans.
Actually, you're right. The lack of a multiplayer option was a problem, which Microprose is fixing with its imminent release of Civnet.
Even with network support, it's still Civilization. For the most part, this is a good thing, although fans of the game who were longing for a brighter look or a bunch of new features might be a little disappointed.
The tile graphics look unchanged from Civilization for Windows. They've added a few neat things for single-player mode. You can spawn multiple gameplay windows, and there's a research advisor who can tell you how to get from technology A to technology B, but it's still really the same as it ever was.
Fortunately for fans of the original, the multiplayer support built into Civnet is extremely well done.
I don't think they missed a trick here. You can play head-to-head via modem or direct serial link, over a LAN, over the internet, or through an online service. Once you're hooked up, you can insult any or all of your opponents through the chat mode.
You don't even need a modem for multiplayer Civnet. There's an option for hot seat on one PC, where you have to trust your vile opponent to look away while you're making your moves. The designers even managed to overcome the problems inherent in adapting a turn-based game to a multiplayer environment.
As a matter of fact, I understand that solving that problem was one of the reasons why the game missed its original ship date, but it was well worth the wait. The original turn-based mode is still there, but you can choose a simultaneous view option.
This allows all the players to move their units at once. Now, this may not sound like a huge breakthrough, but it runs very smoothly. And it's a much better way of playing the game than sitting around and waiting for the other 6 civilizations to finish their turn.
Civnet's designers have even taken deep thinkers like you into account.
Is that a cheap shot at my methodical style of play? You know, Mom always told me anything worth doing well was worth doing thoroughly.
I assume your mom had a lot of extra time on her hands. Civ is far from the fastest-paced strategy game you'll ever come across, and slow players could really cause a problem. Therefore, at the start of the game, you can specify a maximum turn length. You can also set a sudden death time span, which starts when all but one player has finished his turn.
As much as I hate being pressured by you and your stinking stopwatch, this does force you to focus on the task at hand. Although, the fact that you can pursue tons of information between turns means you shouldn't feel the need to rush.
It's all there. The status of your cities, your civilization's demographics, your technology research, and a lot of other things. And it all runs virtually without a glitch in multiplayer mode.
Because we're incredibly efficient and we love our jobs, we both played over a LAN and through a modem from a distance of about 40 miles. There was an occasional graphics glitch or two, but no major problems to speak of. The network mode on this game works extremely well.
It pains me to say this, but despite the fact that Civnet is a worthwhile version of this game, they still didn't get it completely right.
I assume you're leading me into a frank discussion of the diplomacy model?
I believe the diplomatic description would be, it's a Microprose interface. Be afraid. Be very afraid.
I've come to expect boring interfaces from Microprose, and this one certainly doesn't disappoint. But what's up with the lack of options on this thing?
I was hoping that when you met another human player, you could haggle, steal, lie, cheat, you know, the stuff you'd do in real life. Instead, you're left with a few limited options, and you have to grapple with this interface from hell to accomplish those.
Yeah, what's with having to give money or technology to your opponent and then just expecting him to give you something worthwhile in exchange? How about some way to make an offer and counteroffer and have the deal go through only after both parties have accepted?
You mean just like in real life?
As long as we're whining here, I want to revisit that graphics thing for a moment. They improved the main game interface, and they even spent the money for a cool-looking 3D rendered intro flick. Why not go the distance and come up with some new terrain tiles? I mean, these things were dated a few years ago, and they haven't aged well at all.
Well, I understand they'll be upgrading that terrain.
Really? That's great. No, wait a minute. Let me guess. In Civilization 2000?
You know, if this keeps up, I just might have to buy a separate bookcase just to store my growing Civ collection.
I don't suppose Civ 2000 will support multiplayer. No? Wait, don't tell me. Year after next, we can look forward to Civnet 2000? While they didn't do everything we wanted them to, Microprose has filled a basic need with Civnet. You now have the ability to play this fantastic game against a fellow human being and thrash them within an inch of their life.
You could quibble that they could have done more. Actually, we're paid well above the minimum wage to do just that. But the fact remains that the network version of Civ works extremely well.
If you've got a problem with that, take it up with Sid Meier. Just don't mess with that angry mob that seems to follow him around all the time.